Hello ladies and gentlemen, it's Mike here at Game from Scratch with some news on the Unity front, and that is that Unity have released a roadmap of what you can expect in 2021, and I gotta admit, there is one big thing in there that people have definitely been waiting for that Unity developers are going to go, finally. On top of that, we got a bit of an insight of what their priorities are going to be in 2021, and a bit of a spoiler alert, I basically agree with the majority of what they have said. So let's take a look at what we can expect from Unity in 2021. Alright, so you can see, in 2021, our product commitment is simple. It's about giving you production-ready features, workflows, and components based on what you have told us you need. We consider a feature production-ready if it meets your needs, is fully supported from release, and has timely bug-fixing improvements and a clear roadmap. In other words, features you can rely on throughout your production. To execute predictably, we are also changing how we work. This is a weird sentence. We will do less, we will do it better, and we will prove it works cohesively before we release it. In some ways, I think that means they're going to stop taking the throw crap against the wall and see what sticks approach and be more focused in what they're developing. We are bringing bigger, complete teams together to develop the features and functionality that are most important to you. We're investing in our product, program engineering, and design teams so we can increase our focus on supporting you with great workflows and commitment to predictable, reliable releases. All software development is a process. Every month, we will invite you to view and comment on our progress through a series of developer diaries so you can see the theory become reality. Here are our main focus areas in 2021. We have rendering pipelines, visual scripting, and networking. And of course, networking is going to be the biggest new area where people are going to rejoice if they've been waiting for this. And then core product interoperability and stability. We've got workflow usability, platform reach, performance, and iteration speed. So a little bit more explanation on that. 2021 release builds directly on the Unity 2020 LTS or long-term support release. Its key focus is to increase stability and robustness of the editor to drive down bugs and regressions, particularly those with the greatest user impact. We don't want this to be a side note. We want to be the foundation upon which everything else stands and takes us forward. We know that this is what makes the difference when you're trying to both make day-to-day progress and take a game over the line. And this is huge because right now, Unity is kind of a mess. There's so many moving parts that depend on each other that it's really hard to go ahead and develop with anything. Even with the most recent 2019 LTS release, 2019.3, it's still hard to use any of the new features like the programmable pipelines, the ERP or the HD pipeline, dots. All of that stuff is kind of unusable because it's just so new and in some cases broken. So if they're focusing on stability and scaling and all those kind of things, great to hear that. So additional areas of focus will be workflow and usability, quality of life fixes, through upgrading aggregate workflows such as UI authoring and key tools to enable those examples, scene tooling, system search and filtering, platform reach. This is something they have always done. Great support day one for new platforms. We're going to see this continue, like with Apple's move to the ARM, new VR, AR platforms, new consoles, and so on. And performance iteration speed, improving your team's productivity across the development lifecycle from asset imports, build and deploy, and in-editor iterations. That's another thing they're working on right now. There's the asset pipeline 2.0, which should make the importing process much less painful for developers. So that's definitely an area to see them nicely focus on. For 2020, we are evolving three specific features areas: graphics, multi-user networking, and visual scripting. So on the graphics side of things, Scriptable render pipeline and tools, they will mature the ERP or the universal render pipeline solution, which needs it. Because right now, even you can't do point light shadows using it, for example, and stabilize the high def render pipeline. It's interesting that they chose the word stabilize, but that would really summarize what they need to do right now. They need to get all these new pieces stable, and something that you can actually work on in a production environment. Long-term goals with our rendering pipeline is to have complete interop with all Unity features so there will be only one way to build your scene with an ecosystem of tools to support users. And that is getting away from their biggest problem right now, which is this fragmentation. So that is all good things to hear. On the visual scripting side of things, well, they bought Bolt. And the kicker is Bolt is not going to be an add-on. It's actually going to be baked in. So it says, in 2020, we will provide Bolt visual scripting as a core feature built directly into Unity. As we do this, we will bring consistency across all our node-based development tools. We know it is key for a great user experience to unify the workflows of visual scripting with other node-based solutions. Now, it's interesting that they're actually going to build that functionality in, because that kind of tells me that maybe they bet a little too much of the farm on dots, and they might be backing that up a bit. Now, do keep in mind, there is a visual scripting system in the works for dots as well, but that Bolt is going to be built directly in. That is an interesting development. And then The big one, the one that so many Unity developers have been waiting for, is multiplayer networking, finally. So we will deliver a stable and supported netcode foundation. First, this means expanding the focus beyond the dots stack. So again, it looks like they're backing off that a little bit, because what we've been hearing for the last, like, basically a year or two is, oh, you want a new physics system? Well, we've built this on dots. You want a new audio system? We built this on dots. They had to rebuild all of their systems on dots. But it looks like they're kind of maybe moving a little bit back from dots to solve for current Unity game objects. Second, we are committed to delivering full stack solutions for key genres by building alongside the incredible talent in the open source software multiplayer community. Finally, we heard you, multiplayer creation needs more than just netcode, so we plan to add a significant investment in tools, docs, and samples to make it easier to get started. So that is definitely nice to see that multiplayer networking is going to be a higher priority in Unity. Well past due, but it's definitely nice that they're focusing in that area. The product release schedule is as shown. So Unity 2020 long-term support version is going to ship in Q1 of 2021. Basically, Q1 means quarter one, which is the first 3 months of the year. Long-term support version of 2020 stabilized change set from Unity 2021 and the upcoming 2020.2 releases. Long-term support or long-term stable versions basically means that that's the version that if you're going to be working on the game for quite a while, you're not going to want to upgrade midstream. It's the LTS version that you want to focus on, because those are the ones that are going to continue to get bug fixes, and pretty much only bug fixes, after their release. So they will continue to release updates for the LTS versions alongside new releases. Improvements specifically focused on quality of life, like reorderable arrays and lists in the inspector, improved inspector copy-paste, the ability to mark an object as default parent in the hierarchy, a long list of improvements to existing features and tool sets, continued focus on iteration speed developer tooling and performance improvements such as updates to the IL to CPP compiler to avoid unnecessarily reconverting and recompiling of code when there are no code changes, improvements to asset importing. Again, we've got the import or pipeline to the underlying system there, so that's going to continue to improve. SRP stabilization improvements for both the SRP being scriptable render pipeline, for both the URP, or the universal render pipeline, that is the pipeline for lower end devices, mobile devices, that kind of stuff, and the HDRP, which would be your PlayStation 5, your Xbox Next, your high-end PCs, and that kind of stuff. Support for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, Apple Silicon platforms, which basically means Apple's new ARM platform on Mac OS, and increased contributions and collaborations with the open source multiplayer communities. I wonder which one specifically they're going to be ganging up with or partnering up with. So that's definitely nice to see. So that's going to be the next version. Q1 2021 is Unity 2020 long-term support. And then in Unity 2020 product release cycle, this will be between March and October, so that'd be Q2 and Q3. Provide visual scripting integrated directly into the Unity editor that is robust, stable, and production ready. That basically means making Bolt native, but using their new universal node-based UI framework, which is being used in the shader tools, in the dots visual scripting language, and so on. So that's definitely a nice move there. Iterative improvements of the core experience for the universal render pipeline and stable HDRP in the asset store, enabling users to discover URP and HDRP content easily through tagging and filtering. Stable, supported, and extensible netcode foundation for current Unity basically means for game objects in addition to the dots solution that they're working on. Again, it's nice to see that they've backed that up a bit and the dots stuff is going strong. Enhanced multiplayer game tooling support and core product interop and stability improvements as above. So they're continuing to work on their dots technology stack to lay the foundation for future Unity and the architecture that delivers multi-threaded performance by default. More on that in the future blog post. So it is kind of nice in some ways for them to say, okay, we can't just bet everything on the future of dots. We still need to support game objects. And it looks like the game objects people are going to have a longer runway here from this. And I think all told, that's actually a good development. So some really nice announcements here. They are focusing on stability. The Bolt visual scripting is being incorporated directly into Unity, not as an add-on. They are going to be supporting the game objects approach, not just dots going forward, and they are going to be coming up with some kind of a networking solution. So all told, no huge shocks here. Definitely multiplayer networking support is a big one, and it's nice to see. But for the most part, nothing negative here, and they really are focusing on the right areas. They were leaving way too many people behind with just dots, all dots, everything but dots, betting the future on dots, and it looks like they've walked that back, and I agree with that. And they're also focusing on stability and fragmentation two problems that could really ruin Unity, and that's what I've seen in the last couple releases. So definitely a big move there, and something I am happy to see. Final note, this is actually, if you notice the title graphic on the way in, this is the background I used for it. It's nice that it themed up with like a future vibe. But this is another article up on the Unity blog that I would recommend checking out. It's actually kind of a tutorial on how you can kit bash design levels. So they're using tools off Snap's Kit Bash 3D and other asset store packages to really quickly prototype levels and show how you can go ahead and do that. Kit bashing is a really cool thing, and it's nice to kind of see this. Here's how you light your scenes. Here you can set it up. Here's how you can use existing assets to make things work, post-processing effects, and so on. I would highly recommend checking out this blog post and video as well. So that is where that ultimate graphic came from. But the majority of this article or this video is about this, the roadmap of Unity in 2021. And I have to ask you, what do you think of this on the whole? Are you excited by the way they're going? Are you excited to see a little bit of more support for game objects and a focus on stability and less fragmentation? Or are you disappointed by not seeing you didn't get feature X, Y, or Z? Because it doesn't sound like there's going to be any huge new mega features coming right away. But I don't think they should be focusing on that stuff. I think they should be focusing on usability. And this does seem like a step in the right direction to me. But I'd love to hear your opinions on this. Comments down below, and I will talk to you all later.